The active listening approach. Are you really listening? Hi guys, my name's Deepak Shukla, founder at Pearl Lemon Sales. We're a sales training and development agency based in the UK as well as the USA and serving clients worldwide. And here today in day number 52 of 119 days of cold calling, we're here to talk about the active listening approach. But before we get into it, feel free to click the link below to get access to the additional 17 strategies that are not shared in this training. So fundamentally, it's something that you'll have heard of in many walks of life, active listening. So I'm not going to dive too much into what that means, but briefly, it's listening and responding to what a prospect says. Now, a prospect can't see you, okay? There's no eye. This is an eyeball. Anyway, they can't see you. Let's do an S. They can only hear you, okay? So based upon that, and even if they can see you, hearing is also powerful. And I'll talk about, how you can demonstrate that or demonstrate to them that they can hear you. And it all comes into active listening. So as people speak, you need to, depending upon what's happening, if it's a visual call, but we're talking cold calls, so there's going to be no visual element to it, okay? When you cold call, you're not cold Zoom calling. So it's all it is they can hear you. So they can hear your responses and they can hear, potentially hear you breathe and all of these types of things. So if someone's talking and they're saying this and they're saying that, you've got to use expressions to demonstrate active listening by saying, I understand. Yep. So I understand. Yep. And you've got to use the words such as, got it, to demonstrate that you're listening. Okay. I see. Hmm. So you just heard something else there. So I don't even know what that says anymore. I understand. Yep, got it. I see. These are four examples of demonstrating that you're actively listening. Okay. So then alongside that, something else that you can do is make sounds. Okay. Make sounds. So sounds when it comes to active listening are sounds such as ah, hmm, hmm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 Can you hear all of those ranges of expressions I just communicated through just sounds? Mm. 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 So, is interesting. Is really interesting. Is a yeah, yeah. Also, mm, mm. Is yeah, I get it. Mm, mm. Frustration. So you can let out a range of ultimately sounds that underline emotions, and the emotion that you want to communicate an emotion where it's verbally or gutturally, let's say, if it's just a sound. And this is what demonstrates this whole active listening thing, okay? And that lets your audience of one know that you're paying attention, okay? Kind of want to write that down because this is cool. I'm getting better at using my mouse now, by the way. I think I'm not using the board anymore. But you get better at paying attention or demonstrating, rather. You could be just doing something else, but you get better at demonstrating that you're paying attention to the prospect on the call through these words as well as these sounds, okay? And that's what we're ultimately looking for. It's these words and sounds that demonstrate attention is being paid, and knowing when and where to utter them. How could I give an example of that? It's okay. It's looking for potentially some of the little pauses, but you don't even need pauses as long as this is the other thing to actually consider. Make sure that when you let out these sounds or these words, that they're lower in like decibels, or like they're not as loud basically as your prospect who's talking. If you suddenly get way louder, then it's going to be way off-putting. You can hear I just moved the mic really close to my mouth and turned the volume up. So actively listening is a combination of sounds Hmm. Words. I understand. Yep, yep. So yep. That makes sense. And then making sure that the level is, if they're speaking at this level, you want to be responding via sounds and words at this level. And this is really a big thing about active listening that I see. I mean, I see it all the time. People hear someone talks for like a minute, and the other person doesn't say anything to demonstrate that they're actively listening. So then, in the prospect's mind, they're thinking, "Is this guy bloody listening? Is this gal bloody listening?" And it happens. I see it happen on sales calls. I hear it happen on cold calls. Probably happens in face-to-face meetings as well. It happens bloody everywhere. Okay, so it's especially important on a cold call because people cannot hear you. So please make sure that you're letting out these sounds and words pretty consistently to demonstrate that you're actively listening. And hopefully, based upon what the prospect is saying, it should be fairly, straightforward as to when to actually, let out one of these sounds or words when it feels like there's something that's worth responding to through the actual conversation. And remember, you don't need to wait for pauses. You can, obviously, but if someone's talking for seemingly 45 seconds without taking a breath, then bloody hell, you need to let out, one or two in here. So one or two every, for example, 30 seconds, probably less, to be honest with you, every 20 seconds, because if you can hear no, 30 every 30 seconds to a minute probably is a good timeline, more or less. I say it still feels a bit abstract right now because it's difficult for me to talk and then give a response, but use that as a baseline to demonstrate active listening. 30 seconds to a minute. There you go, guys.
Remember, we've got 17 gated strategies just waiting for you. All you need to do is bing, subscribe, as well as click the link in the description below to get access to those 17. Get some.